All right, I think the live video might be happening. And some audio as well. Let's see what happens. Radio testing.
It is working, man.
All right, let me make sure I've got all the controls where they're supposed to be. I think so. One, two, three, four, five. As we hit the microphonium.
It's working.
All right, now 5 by... Which is not working. 5 by 5 for Mr. OBP. Well, I'll adjust the audio levels as we go. Let's say hello to all of you out there, the Old Tube Radio Network. Trying to get started here on the 14th of December, 2019. I know a lot of stations might be out doing the holiday items, Christmas shopping, or parties, or gathering with friends. So when you can check in, we will get you checked in without a problem. In the meantime, I'm looking like I have more audio than I need, so let me turn that down. That might help, and let's get started. I'll just go with the flow here and adjust as things blow up. Starting with the SWL roll call, the Old Tube Radio Network. We will be talking about and talking with the classic tube radios that you may have encountered in 1958 through about 1978 in the Class D Citizen Radio Service. But first, we want to say hello to the listeners, whether you may be radio active at 27085 Channel 11, which is where we are at here in the Central Valley of California, or perhaps you will be on our digital side listening in at oldtuberadio.net, or perhaps watching the YouTube video in its live form. So let's see if we can pick up and get started with SWL 00.
00 checking in.
Hello, Wayne. 00 checking in and checked in. I'll put the mark on there, and we will be on our way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Also, a cosmic check-in for SWL number 1 and SWL number 2 waving a hand from, he's over on the video side, Mr. OBP. No sunspots in the last 31 days. They keep promising. I saw a chart for, what is it, Cycle 25, and they're predicting about the same as Cycle 24. I kind of hope that's not true. Because Cycle 24, and OBP remembers the previous cycle before that. The one that peaked in 2000, 2001, where 6 meters would open, and you'd be talking to people with 40 over signals in some grid square 800 miles away. So, all right, thanks, Kevin, for the information. SWL3. And I will put a check-in for SWL3. Unfortunately, I missed the CARP Christmas gathering a Friday ago because I had to work, and then I missed the FARC Christmas gathering again because I had to work. But Rob was at the bowling alley Thursday, so we get him checked in. SWL4. SWL5, I have a check-in. I did see Ida, Mama Rose, and she is looking good and says she is doing good, so get her checked in. SWL6. Shortwave listener 7.
This is SWL7. Check me in, please.
Checking you in on the big tote board that's somewhere in the other studio. It's like the telethon. 7 is checked in. Then we run up to SWL 13, Mr. Cobra, who checks in a lot of times at old2radio.net. Let me refresh the comments and see who's out there. A lot of you are out there. Hello to way up in the balcony. Hello to Hendersonville, coming up to you guys. Hello, Kentucky, North Carolina. Looks like Kakalaki. You must have finished your holiday musical things out there. I'll be interested to hear what's going on there. Hello to Oregon, Dallas, Georgia, Colorado, Maryland, here in Central California, out on the coast in San Francisco, New York, and the front and the footlights down here in the front row, along with South Carolina. We'll keep going here, get everybody checked in, see what kind of radios we can pick up tonight. SWL 14. SWL 15, shortwave listener 16, SWL 17, SWL 18, SWL 19, SWL 20.
Hey, Dennis, can you hear me?
You sound G-double-O type D, over.
And please don't say blow up again.
Yeah, you and me both had a similar malady, catastrophe last week. I've sort of limping along here with an alternate, and we'll check in probably later to find out if you were able to do what you need to do. I'm going to say from the way you sound, probably, but we've got you checked in, and good to have you in the proverbial radio house tonight.
Hey, Roger. Now, the item that smoked last week, it's definitely transformer, and if I get another transformer, oh, that would be just wonderful. It's just getting all the gunk off of everything inside. I mean, do I want to even attempt that? So basically, I'm looking for another solid-state one of about the same type there. Anyway, I'll let you go. Check in myself, 295484 in the family, and just in case 135.
Will do. Sounding good. Listen in, and we'll be talking to you. But whatever you got now sounds good, even if it's the plain vanilla item. Nice and strong here tonight. Thanks for checking in. Harvey out there on the west side. Over to SWL 21, and I will scroll down as JT tonight is busy decorating, but he is running in and out of the Radio Shack tonight, but he's out busy decorating the home QTH, probably indoor and outdoor, and not forgetting to decorate the longest documented ground rod. I'm not quite sure if it's in the Guinness Book of World Records yet, but I'm sure they're working on it, so I'm sure it's very festive over there tonight, 21, and you are in the holiday spirit, as many of us are out there in the Wasama swamps. Thank you. SWL number 22. SWL 23. Shortwave listener 24. SWL 25.
25, checking in.
25 is checking in, and I'm sure everything is already decorated out there in Madera Flats. Probably have to put a warning into the FAA for all the lights going on over there. You're sounding good.
Thank you, Dennis, and can't wait for the persimmon-type cookies.
Had a neighbor with this that has moved and used to have a persimmon tree, and I think the people that moved in took it out and put it in a swimming pool or something, but she would make persimmon cookies. I had no idea what a persimmon was when I came to Fresno, and then they're all over the place. I said, "What is that on? What's that on your tree? A tomato?" See, what did I know? Just a big-time LA City boy. Let's go over to page 2 and look for SWL 27. You've got a proxy check-in for SWL 29. Then we go over and say hello to SWL 31. Robert and Teresa out there in Hendersonville, Tennessee, listening in on the audio stream tonight. Hope all is well in your neck of the woods tonight. I haven't heard many propagation reports. OBP reporting 0 sunspots. I've seen some people saying the band is opening up and you get a good hour of shouting DX and getting down and whatever one does on their 11-meter skip type bicycle. But tonight we will be riding the old tube bicycle, the old tube radio bicycle, and see if we can come up with something here. Thanks for listening in over there. SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, the Jingle Singers, and the Mysterious Bozo Control here. Then we head over to SWL 35 in Cold Cheyenne, Wyoming. And Bill, I saw you there. I'm trying to scroll down, and snowy. All right. Even colder than I thought. Snow. Who would have thunk in December, middle of December, that there could be snow on the ground in Cheyenne, Wyoming? Mr. Bill and Red Monkey Communications, we miss you. That's for sure here in the Central Valley. I hope you are enjoying life out in the cold country. Hope we enjoy seeing your posts and updates. Next, we are looking for SWL 36, shortwave listener 37.
37.
37 is in, and you are sounding better this week, so I'm assuming you are on the mend for sure.
For now, yes.
Okay, for now. Oh, that's good. Well, you know what it is. We want to keep it that way. Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
SWL 39. I may have my receiver audio too high. We will listen in. If the SWLs are getting a little more static than usual, it's probably something on my end, and I'll make an adjustment if necessary. SWL 40.
And SWL 40 here, and those explosions, they really kind of scare me. Sounds like something that might happen. Oh my God! What the? Oh my God! Oh!
We got some type of Martian spacecraft landing over there in Chinatown tonight. Larry, keep us posted. And if they're friendly, invite them to check in on the old Tube Radio Network. I hope he's okay. SWL 42. Got a note to proxy in 42. SWL 43. Shortwave listener 44. Oh, somebody's in there. Say again, over. 44 sounding good into the flatlands of Midtown Fresno here tonight. Hope you are making progress on whatever it is that you need to do. And Ray stepping up into the radio room to make a quick transmission. Do appreciate that. Let's try up to North Fork, SWL 45.
Have a good night, Dennis. 45.
All right, and I forgot to add the S meter down here so people can give themselves a radio report, and yours would be 10.5. No, 10.5, 10.10, something like that. It would be 9 pounds, good modulation. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it.
We are on the directed net roll call, the old Tube Radio Network. Hanging out here for 35 years on Saturday evenings, talking with talking about those vintage classic tube radios, the Brownings, the Trams, the Sonars, the Lafayettes, on and on and on. You will hopefully hear some of them tonight. Hello to Larry785 up on the video, and Warren Scott. Who else is there? Oh, Brown Dog. We are coming up to you. Brown Dog Audio 57. We have to turn the page one more time, so don't go away. We're looking for, where did I leave off? SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Greetings from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47.
Sounding good from the Radio Lounge. I managed to, there was something going on this morning on Christmas Tree Lane. Everybody was dressed sort of the same in some type of red and black outfits. So there must have been some sponsored walk or something going on. You are sounding good, and I like the sound of that radio. We'll talk about it when we start glowing in the dark.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. I had a wagon full of a bunch of old tube radios. I was attempting to do that run, but these gosh darn things are too heavy. I literally could not get off the start line.
The other problem that you've encountered before is when you get the long 102-inch whip or the extended rod antenna on the walkie-talkie, you have to be very careful for the low-flying electrical lights and Santa's elves and things like that. So one, you don't destroy the display, and two, that you don't destroy the antennas. But we appreciate the efforts. I'll have to look for that somewhere. I might find the audio clip from years ago. It's in an MP3 here somewhere, so we might have to revisit that. Thanks, Mike. Over to SWL 48. SWL 49.
Hello, Dennis. Hello to all the old tube radio enthusiasts out there tonight. Yeah, I took a cruise down Huntington Boulevard. That was a pretty nice night, and glad to see that there's still quite a few people participating down there with that. Tried to take the family into Christmas Tree Lane tonight, but man, there was apparently a lot of other people had the same idea because there was a traffic jam about 2 miles long in every direction. So we got the heck out of there, but at least we got to see a few beautiful decorated houses down in Huntington. So hope you guys are all having a great night, and I thank you much, Dennis, for the check-in.
Yeah, don't forget about Huntington, and then I believe there's, Candy Cane Lane or something out in Clovis. The Huntington Boulevard tradition may go back farther than Christmas Tree Lane, but everybody's got their story. You're sounding good. 5 over 9 on the S meter. And great audio as always, Brian. Thanks for checking in. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
SWL 51. Sounding good, Dave. We've got you checked in here on OTR. SWL 52. Shortwave listener 53.
Hello, Dennis, 53, checking in.
Sounding top shelf tonight. Good audio, nice signal, and as a station in downtown Clovis would say, on frequency and on time. Thanks, Bob.
Got a new battery. Hey, have a good night. Thank you.
New batteries are good. I ordered a new battery for a phone that I have, and it showed up, I don't know, half an hour ago. There was a knock on the door, and the guy says, Amazon. And sure enough, why am I echoing? Sure enough, there was my battery in some type of a diaper box or something. I haven't opened it yet. I'm assuming it's a battery. It looked like it was some of the battery people. Where are we at? Page 3, if you're playing the home game, SWL 54. Get Mr. Board Jammer checked in. Keeper of all things Tubi and the glowing in the dark. SWL 55.
55, checking in.
From the cold country, but not quite out in Wyoming. That's, at least I could drive to this cold country. You are sounding good.
Thank you, Dennis.
And to where the weather is always beautiful and Phil is probably hunkering down through the duration of our aforementioned Christmas tree lane. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis. 56. Yeah, it's a little crazy this time of year. You got to kind of plan when you're going to go somewhere and make sure you get back before the traffic. Anyway, it's all good. Merry Christmas, etc.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't have to be on the Boulevard of Dreams to get into fracas, because there's all sorts of streets that you can and cannot do, and then, like Brian mentioned, you might be on the easy jaunt home and encounter that 2-mile traffic jam north, east, south, and west, and say, well, this is when I wish I had one of those jet packs. I only need to go a block and a half, right? It's going to take me an hour. Like you said, you know about it and you plan for it. Let's try, the infamous, but seldom seen, Mr. Brown Dog Audio in central Kentucky. WWS 1942, waving a hand from the video side tonight. Checking in early from South Kentucky. Sharing some rig pics. There might be a way to actually post them over at Old OTR on the Facebook page. If there's a way to upload photos there, then I might be able to grab them and occasionally get them on the site here. I didn't get a chance to check with Rob, because SWL3 is the guy that would actually get them over on the oldtuberadio.com, which makes it easier for me to get in. But give that a try. See if there's a way to upload some things to the Facebook site, and then I will have to, and there's some other people ask me that, get in with Rob, SWL3, and see if there is a new email or something that actually works for that. Also, while I'm grabbing the air, trying to adjust some audio here. Here we go. Who else? The mighty KUH, Brian, in his vintage, I don't know what chair he's sitting in tonight. He might be kind of half in the vintage chair and half into the modern chair tonight, as he's probably listening to some of the big iron radios out in his area. Timtron up in Pacific Northwest. Tim saying hello. Has the Yaesu fired up on 27085, just in case those 10-meter beacons start going. Let's try SWL 58.
58, checking in. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, in the air chair. That's a treat. Jeremy maybe he's doing one of those remote things. Might be remoting in from Christmas Tree Lane or something. You're sounding good, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
SWL 59. Here's a guy that doesn't have to remote in. He's got enough radios. He just figure out which microphone is the one to use. SWL 60.
I like that, Dennis. Evening time to you and the fellas, and doggone it, let's check in Big Jake's base, the 2527, the DX Galaxy. Good God. I like that, Dennis.
Yeah, you will never go wrong on the 2527, but for those of us who might be multiple radioed, it is a challenge sometimes in choosing the proper microphonium, especially when you get that, it's your turn to get on the air. But you did good. We bet you checked in. Thanks. SWL 61. SWL 61.
61, checking in,
And Dean never has a problem finding the microphone. Always right there on the roll call. Thank you, 61. I used your line tonight, Rex, SWL 62.
Evening time. This is 6-2, checking in from downtown Clovis, on frequency and on time.
Yes, what he said, on frequency and on time. The frequency 27085, the time always, most, every Saturday evening, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time. the Old Tube Radio Network, listening for your glow-in-the-dark radios, and, of course, the SWLs. Thank you, Rex.
You betcha. We'll talk to you next week.
SWL 63, BB up there in New York, and all the Big Iron East Coast stations listening in and poking holes in the atmosphere with their Big Iron radios, broadcast transmitters, QRP, whatever you do, on the AM mode of operation. SWL 64. SWL 65. Shortwave listener 66. SWL 67. SWL 68. We've got an proxy check-in for Ken, SWL 69, tuning in at some point. Hi, Ken. If you're watching the video or listening to the audio, hopefully we'll get some conditions, or if you visit out here, we'll pick you up on the air. That would be cool. Let's try SWL 70. SWL 71. I should be able to just scroll on over to the other page, and I will see Mr. Announcer, the other Mr. Announcer, Stan, at the microphonium, checking in. Not sure what's up in the W and the Foreland Radio Shack these days, but I hope conditions are good out there in K4 land. Let's see, who's next? SWL 72. Shortwave listener 73. SWL 74. And I'm getting Miss Julie checked in. SWL 75. Shortwave listener 77. Dennis might be stringing some lights up on that Tower of Power on the Tower District. Let's see. I saw a Washington station, but specifically Everett, Washington? I don't know. SWL 78. SWL 79. Shortwave listener 80. And I will turn the page, but first, let's say hello to the mighty Juliet Whiskey. John is listening in. Ohio, I think, is where you are at. KJG 4755 from KEO 8492. I was still looking for my original CB license. I'm sure it's in a book or a folder somewhere. I hope it is. I hope it didn't get tossed out. The Bob and Steve Show. What is going on? Speaking of Ohio, just flying in with the Christmas decorations, I saw the festive nature of what was going on in Studio B, and I guess part of that was the trimming of the tree, the burning of the Yule log. I hope that's what all that smoke was from. And the jingle singers hung from the stockings, hung from the ceiling with care. And anyway, they're going to sound fun tonight. Someone spiked the punch bowl, and it's a typical OTR Christmas party. Who knows how they will sound tonight? That's a possibility. We'll have to see what happens with the jingle singers tonight as the evening wears on. Thank you, Bob and Steve, for keeping us and our crew here in tip-top shape. Top of page 4, where we will say hello to and wave a hand at 81, Mr. Unicorn, who is wondering if he got checked in last week. I have a proxy put in. No, I'm sorry. I have an X put in last week, so you did get checked in. And you have another X this week, so that's 2 in a row. If this is a bowling, where's the I always get a chance to use a club can. If this was a bowling score, you have two X's. You have a double right there with the two X's. So we'll make it a triple, make it a turkey next week. Thanks, Steve. SWL 82.
82, checking in from the Ditch Banks, Iowa. Good evening.
Sounding glad. I hope the ditch banks did not blow away today. There was, I guess we're in the high pressure, low pressure changing zone. There was a lot of wind and things going on, but the air quality is quite nice. So I'm assuming you are still up in the ditch bank somewhere.
Yep, everything's fine out here. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thank you for checking in. SWL 84. And we're going to get to Jerry and the gang checked in out in Clovis Way. SWL 85.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead.
SWL 65 checking in.
65, we can do that. That's Eric, and click on that guy. You're sounding good. We've got you checked in.
Thank you. Have a good one.
The Old Tube Radio Network, taking the check-ins as we can get them tonight. I know a lot of people are off doing other things, hanging lights and making the eggnog more eggy and less noggy. We called John in Reedley. I was hearing 111 in Reedley, so Reedley is coming through tonight. And we'll get the triple play, SWL 86, SWL 87, and SWL 88. Tandy Girl, Snowy Owl, or I'm sorry, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl, in that order. SWL 89. SWL 90. I've got a proxy for 90. SWL 92. I think he checked in Wednesday. I hear him from Madeira. SWL 93. SWL 98.
Good evening.
And good evening, SWL 98. Dave at the microphonium. Sounding good here on the net tonight. Let's see if Jeff is out and not working, but somewhere in the mobile. SWL 103. He said he thought he had blown something up. So I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just a matter of not at the radio. In fact, he left me a note. I'm going to get him proxied in. SWL 109. Shortwave listener 110. SWL 111. Heard earlier, I think, did I have the stream running? The test stream was up and running, so it's still in the archives. I'll be taking it out there. If you tune in, Robert, you will hear yourself testing. It sounded good here in Midtown Fresno. We got you checked in. SWL 113. SWL 114 checked in as 00, but I bet he's still out there.
114 checking in.
And still sounding good. I don't think I could be that consistent. I would have something blow up in between a 00 and wherever I was on the list. Thanks, Wayne. SWL 128, John Lee of Digital SWL fame and Fairfax, Virginia. Let me scroll through. I don't recall seeing that he was in on frequency yet. He may wander by. Hello to, who are news stations stopping in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The Chattanooga Choo-Choo may be fast, but we've got a team that's something. I don't even remember. That was my Cub Scout yell. We're in Tennessee, but we're talking about the Chattanooga Choo-Choo. Hello to Canby, Oregon. Looking for SWL 131. SWL 133. All right, nothing heard on 133. SWL 135. will put a proxy in for Mr. Green Arrow, SW137, also a pre-check-in. SW up to course gold. Tony, are you listening? SWR145.
Thank you, Dennis. This is Tony, SWR145, and I'm right there with you on the persimmons, Dennis. I had no clue. And then my wife made some, and she put walnuts in them, and I am definitely hooked. And I want to thank you for running the net. Every now and then I'll run the net on the early risers group on 147.180. They're on at 7 o'clock, 7 days a week, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I cover the net sometimes, and I know how confusing it can be, and you do a great job. I just want to say thank you.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that good word. It has been a long time since I listened to that. When I got my first HT, I could hear it, but I had trouble checking in unless I was in the right spot. I mean, I think the repeater's up near you, up in that area. And then when I got my outdoor antenna, it was an easy thing to do, and still going strong on the 2-meter net. And it's we have fun doing this. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be sitting in the. All of us who are out here would not be sitting in our respective air chairs for the last 35 years, however long you have been doing the OTR thing. You're sounding good tonight. The good S9 signal in the audio is perfect. Not too much and not too little. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, and I got my new microphone for my other radio yesterday, so I should be back on Wednesday this week.
Good deal. All right, we will look forward to that. And the key to a good net controller is to be a good listener. So I'm still working on that. You don't need to be a good talker, but you do need to be a good listener. We are heading over to Tony's in SWL 147. And I was pretty sure that I saw Kakalaki tuned in on the digital frequency, so I will keep an eye out for any items of interest from that way. Let's try Course Gold. I think you might hear me a little better tonight. SWO 195.
195, checking in, Dennis. You sounded good up here.
All right, and likewise, making the S-meter move, and the audio is nice. Course Gold Starliner. Thank you, Jem.
Thank you, sir.
Over to SWL 226. To anyone that would like to check in that I may have missed. And at 8:39, I'm going to take a quick break to make sure everything is set up for the Tube radio check-ins, and we'll be back momentarily with your glow-in-the-dark radios. This is the old Tube Radio Network. Sound like a creaky ship. Aye, Captain. All right. I think we are just about ready to go. And you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO, such that it is, when I'm not wrecking it, but your RADIO will make the Old Tube Radio Network what it has become in the last 35 years, and a demonstration that these great, mostly made in the USA, tube classic radios still sound great in the 21st century. Hello, if you're just joining us, watching the video, tuning into the audio stream at oldtuberadio.net, or about ready to check in your radio on 27085 here in Central California, we welcome you to the Old Tube Radio Network, a forum by which you have a chance to get on the air and demonstrate or test or whatever you need to do with your tube radio. And we're happy to have you. So let me say again, my name is Dennis, Net Controller for the evening here on the Old Tube Radio Network. And we'll see what we can find here on the 14th of December, 2019. OTR listening.
25.
45.
I hear, too, hello, Paul, hello, Jerry. Paul, step into the green room. We will make you radio number 2. Rumor has it there's plenty of goodies and fun times going on there, so behave yourself, because we want to talk to you in about a couple minutes here. Stepping up in the air chair is Jerry, SWL25, at 8:43, the official login time, and I hope you are hearing this peanut whistle station tonight.
Yeah, you're blowing smoke, Dennis. Anyway, just did some really fine tuning on the General Radio Telephone MC5, and I think we can kind of put it on the bench, and hopefully it sounds okay to you. And by golly, I think the project's done, thanks to a lot of help from friends. So anyway, the General Radio Telephone MC5, back to you.
Time to put the rack screws back into that thing. I don't know how hard it is to get apart. Some radios are really easy. I can't remember, was it, somebody said, one of the Hallicrafters said it was just like a lunchbox. You open the thing up and you get right to the tube. Some of them, I remember my Regency Imperial, to get the case, you took all the screws up and then you had to set it on its face and then slide the thing out and try not to wreck anything. But once you got it out, it was okay. So hopefully it wasn't too hard to do. We're looking at the radio right here. Let me while I'm chattering, to a larger picture. Oh, that's got big rack handles. That ought to be easy to tote around the radio room.
Oh yeah. I've actually used those rack handles a couple times. Well, actually more than a couple times to get inside the radio and replace a few tubes and do some other stuff. But anyway, I just hope it sounds a heck of a lot better than it used to. So anyway, that was the whole idea behind it. So it seems to be working, and hopefully it sounds okay. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
It sounds great. It sounds good. The audio has cleaned up quite nicely. The other thing was the frequency. I'll do a refrequency check on your next transmission. For those looking at the picture, watching the video, what Jerry is doing, he's got a crystal control transmitter And I'm not sure if he's crystal controlling the receiver, if he's using, under the MC5, it says general. It's a little dial there. That's a tunable receiver. So might have to tune me in, and it's all good. So we'll tune you in next time. Find out how close you are to channel 11. Go ahead.
Okay, Dennis. No, I'm using the crystal control. Transmit 27085 crystal, and then I'm using the VFO receive. That way I can just zero beat you right on frequency. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
You are right there. 27084985. I can copy you when I kick in either upper or lower sideband, a little bit of heterodyne, but not. I don't have to go searching for you. It's not like the lost pet where you have to run out there and say, 25, where are you? No, you are right there. Back to the radio and the S meter. We'll put an S meter on the video here. I think you're doing a nice signal coming in as well with all the new tubes there. Go ahead, over.
Yeah, okay, Dennis, and I think this was the last general radio telephone that had the phone signal alert. I guess if you had a friend that who knows what it's for, but just to let you know it's there, you're there, or hopefully it wouldn't be for jamming frequencies, whatever. But anyway, be happy to demonstrate it for you if you'd like. Anyway, back to you.
Would like that. The Q-Bird, as it is called, used to hear it as the Tweety Bird, and I believe if we go to the source of general radio telephone on the extreme close-up right there under the S meter, they call it the tone signal. So I'll give a picture, and I believe you will be depressing or holding the button down. And I don't think you have to key the microphone. You might mention that if you have to key the microphone as well, or you just hold the button down. But I think the microphone is open. If you hold the button down, we can actually hear your audio underneath the tone. So let's give it a try. Back to you.
You know, actually, Harvey mentioned that too. So I'm going to keep talking, and then here is the tone alert. Actually, that's the current, but I'm still talking on the mic anyway. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, I hear you. Sounds like you're being zapped by the Martians. But it sounds like it tickles, so no problem there. Radio number 1, the General Radio Telephone MC5, produced, probably came out in late 1962. I bet if you grab some of the CB magazines of the day and you go to a December issue or something like that, you will see a full-page ad for an MC5, one of their most advertised radios. A lot like the MC4, but it had a stronger transmitter. General was pretty good about that when they put out the next radio to tweak and peak and make something a little bit better, a little bit nicer, and at some point even dropping the price. These showed up at just around $200, and I think at some point the price went down a little bit on these things. It was, as Jerry demonstrated, the tone signal, which was replaced with what was called a bullhorn on the MC6. So I imagine that was the typical, use the audio amplifier inside there for a PA device. 12-volt DC, 115-volt AC, and I think you could even get a cord that would run 6-volt AC as well. A lot of 6-volt tubes in that item of interest. Thanks, Jerry, for bringing it by. It's sounding good. Like you said, let's put the racks or the case cabinet screws back in, a little bit of Loctite, and you're good to go.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. By the way, I understand the MC5 was available. You mentioned sideband earlier, and I guess if there was a model or maybe an app you could do to it to make it a sidebander. So anyway, and Paul, coming right up behind me in the green room, probably having a lot of fun with the jingle shakers. Probably knows a lot more about that than I do. So anyway, thanks for checking in, Dennis, and back to you.
All right, thanks for getting us started off. Well, General Radio Telephone did have a separate sideband radio at the time, but it may have been a clone. Let me see if I got a picture where we got the item up here. Okay, there it is. That's a General Radio Telephone MC5 sidebander, and as Well, I'll give the description. As you may or may not be able to see, there is an extra switch in between, off the side of one of the receive knobs there that looks like it does some function, and I'm seeing if there's any other extra controls, but I don't recall if we've ever... I have to defer to Harvey if he's pulled anything out of his magic hat over there, if we've ever checked in an MC5 sideband. But yours is sounding fine and great to our collection. I think if everybody that is within our transmitting range who owns an MC5 checked one in, they could be the most heard radio for the evening. Let's, without any further ado, the Jingle Singers, they're wandering around. I'm not sure what they're doing. It's got to be that punch bowl. It doesn't look like they're going to be at the microphone anytime soon. So, Paul, go ahead and step up to the air chair, and we will chat with you about what you have brought for Radio 2 over to SWL 45. Over.
Yeah, I hate to bring up bad news. It's not bad news, but I think you need to try your Jingle Singers a little more and act like they maybe need a little break or something. It may be my end, nor my ears, but I think that maybe give them a little break, they'll come back strong. Anyway, I want to check in my General Radio Telephone Super MC9.
Ooh, one of the rare ones we don't get to hear too much. But here on the West Coast, the General Radio Telephone made in beautiful downtown Burbank. So probably opposed from the Midwest or the East Coast guys, we have our share. We certainly get our share of General Radio Telephones checking in. And Paul is on the Super MC9. We'll get a close-up of the radio there. Similar, but there are definitely some differences from the MC5 series we just heard, especially if you look at the channel dial. It's a crystal controlled for all 23 channels. And I think more importantly, there were some things going on the inside of it too, just getting louder and better. Back to you for transmission.
Yeah, I tell you, General sure made a difference on these radios from that time, from the 5 to the 9. My goodness. This is the first one that came out with that ECL 800 tube. And that was a big jump for them. That power and everything got up. It's a plate modulator with push-pull AB1 modulator on the thing. It's the first General to have the 5-band pass tuning. That's like a VFO for each channel. Real neat. That's the first one to have this. Just had all the real goodies on the thing. You know, they're just about as good a radio as the 11. And you got one there, you know, that will probably come in pretty soon. But they seem like the 11's a little louder. And this, I'm running a ceramic microphone, a CM2 stock mic on this one too, but it doesn't make the noise that you know who out there. Hey, this is a heavy-duty zinc alloy die-cast and satin chrome microphone manufactured by Turner. This is a real heavy mic, I'll tell you what. You can use it for a club. Anyway, that's about all I got. Back to you, Dennis.
Sounds good. Oop. Get the foot switch working here. Sounds good. The Super MC9, 10 tubes in SAM CB16. 12-volt DC, 115-volt AC with a continually tunable receiver. Wait a minute. That has a tunable receiver? I thought it was all crystal controlled.
Any parts come back on that?
Is that a crystal controlled radio? I'm showing it's saying that it has, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing here, that it has a tunable receiver, but I thought that was a click, 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 stop, all crystal controlled.
Crystal controlled. Let's see, we got the Civil Air Patrol 26620 crystal in the thing. Fully crystal control, I love it.
Okay, 12AX7 in the audio, the ECL 800, the output modulator tube, looking good. I'll put up the S meter here so you can take a transmission if you're going to watch the playback and give yourself a radio report. On radio number 2, General Radio Telephone Super MC9. Give us another transmission before you go. Just perfect on that radio tonight.
Yeah, okay. This isn't the one I wanted to check in. You're not going to hear the one I started off with early. My old Golden Eagle Mark IV kind of took a dump on me. Well, give me a rainy day working. Talk to you later, Dennis. Thanks for checking it in.
Okay, strong audio and a good signal coming in. The jingle singers are jumping around the microphone. Sometimes I try not to turn them up too loud into the audio board here, so possibly that could be my fault. And you've seen them live and direct, so I think the best performance is to join them in the green room for the shenanigans and the antics that take place. Hello to the Squamish, BC trio tuning in tonight. Ron is listening near Charlotte, watching the video. Who else is out there? Warren is listening in as well, watching as well. Just seeing what I missed. I get involved in the radios, and then I don't look at the comments. But let's head over. Let me open the microphoniums in the studio, in that other studio. And of course, now they are not paying attention to me. So I need a little intercom system or something. Okay, here we go. The Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. Your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Hopefully the station for you, the Old Tube Radio Network, here in Central California, and there certainly isn't any reason that wherever you might be, that you couldn't do a get on the air with whatever you got. As OBP used to say, run what you brung, run what you brung night. Pick something that works for your local area, and if you have more than one, if you have two, I believe that's communicating. People will join in. We've been doing this for 35 years and having a good time doing it, talking about the tube radios. OTR standing by and looking for Radio 3. Who is that? Go ahead.
70 checking in.
70 is checking in. I will get you on the big board, and I don't know if you made it down to any of the Christmas party gatherings, and I missed them both. So if you were there, I missed you.
Bah humbug. No, I did not. But, yeah, I think there was something Friday, right?
Well, there was something last Friday for the Clovis. Clovis is always good. It's a potluck, and I usually always make cookies, and they actually have some pretty decent little raffle giveaways. And then last night was the big shebang out at the restaurant for the FARC club, which I haven't been to one of those in a long time. One of my first ones that I went to when I was a new ham, I ended up winning one of the door prizes, and it was a, what was it? It was an HT. It was a 2-meter Yaesu FT209. So that was pretty cool for a novice guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think Ken was talking about, I guess, all the XYLs made a whole bunch of cookies and stuff, and they were going to do that on Friday, but yeah, they said it was at Chico's, right?
Yeah, Chico's at Cedar and Knees, way out there. I'm not even allowed to go in that area of town, but I would sneak in.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, stay warm and have a great net, and we'll be listening out here. Maybe I was working out in the garage here in a little bit too. 70 late check-in. Thanks very much, Dennis.
All right, thank you for checking in. It is the top of the hour, so if our friends gather at the microphone, apparently because we have this special setup, we're supposed to run this at the top of the hour, because they said if we're going to do all this production for you, you have to run it a couple of times. So here we go, the Old Tube Radio Network, hour number 2.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
And you got to love radios, especially those that glow in the dark. OTR listening. Go ahead, over.
Hey, 49er here, bringing by the old Robin T123B.
All right, I bet we're going to get more than one Robin tonight, but you have got the wheels rolling on the Robin bandwagon. I will find the Tango 123 Bravo. Robin did a cool thing. They started adding these great colors to the radios. This one being, it looks green to me. I don't know what color it actually is in the photo. And then, of course, when they went to the 240D, they did a yellow motif. Back to you for a transmission. Over.
Yeah, the old green machine. Actually, mine is more of an aqua green, not quite so far on the blue side. Yeah, one of my favorite little radios to use here. Now, I also own the Robin T240. But for some reason, the 123 has always been a little nicer to run for some reason. So there she is. I do thank you much for checking her in. Oh yeah, and for the next one, I'm running a non-amplified T104. So, hey man, there it is.
Good choice. There's the close-up. Even green. I guess if you got all the original knobs, you'll have little green inset on the knobs. External speaker, PA. Are those buttons? I'm just looking. It's the black. Almost looks like it's either a covering over a switch or something on the external speaker in the PA. Oh, you know what you have is a range expand. So I must ask if that D104 is, I guess, en natural, or is it being range expanded?
Absolutely, the range expand is on. And right back on. So, my opinion, she's be where she is with that old range expand wide open.
Wow, okay. I don't think I heard it when you turned it off. I do hear it when it's on. I'm looking at the S meter. I don't see any what we call wiggle meter movements. I'm not sure if you're fully modulated out of that thing, but the audio sounds good. The quality is good. And you do have lots of indicators, the TX light, the RX light, and you do have a mod light. So it's probably blinking at you, the Robin T123B. This was produced, this Panasonic chassis probably would have went on for a much longer time had there not been a 40-channel decree by the FCC, and that pretty much changed all radios in 1975 and 76. So this got a good 4-year run from 1972 to 1976. It is 11-tube complement, 12AX7 in the audio portion. And let me run over to the radio and S-meter video thing here, and we'll give you an S-meter report next go-around.
Fantastic. Yeah, she is a little bit down on power, but, you know, she does what she can, and we run her barefoot.
Way to go. That's the way they were made, and made to sound good without any extra stuff. S8 and nice audio for our radio number 3, the Robin T123 on the Old Tube Radio Network. And as always, we try and give the radio check-ins the last word. So back to you. Thanks for bringing it by.
I'm glad she's still doing her thing, and glad to be able to check it in. Thank you very much, Dennis.
I want to say hello. Oops. Boy, I have trouble with the foot switch tonight. I want to say hello to Ramon, who has, I've not seen you. You've probably been listening or watching, but wanted to wave a hand to you. Ramon is one of our longtime watchers and listeners here to the Old Tube Radio Network, tuning in from Wilmington, Delaware. Good to see Delaware on the map, and thanks for remembering in the wee hours of maybe Sunday morning coming up there, tuning in and listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. We are standing by looking for Radio 4.
45.
And we have Radio 4 at 906. Hello, Paul. Over.
Hi, Hi, Dennis. I hope you can hear this whole thing. This is listed on your web as the Unknown Radio.
The Unknown Radio. Okay, so that means you probably have to get in the character, also be the unknown. I know we have a lot of unknown SWLs. If you look at the Old Tube Radio net page, you get a lot of unknown SWLs, but it's not often that we get an unknown radio. So you may have to put, make sure you cut some holes out for your eyes so you can see what's going on, but might have to put a paper bag over your head. And, okay, it's not loading the picture. I know it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, the Unknown Radio. Is it showing up here? Let me click the item of interest, and there it is. Okay. It may be an ugly duckling, but it's sounding good on the air. Over.
Yeah, and I tell you what, to be honest with you, this radio looks better on the inside than the outside. Actually, a pretty neat job. This thing has 10 tubes in it. Little bitty radio. It's 9 inches long, 7 inches wide, and 5 inches high. So it's much like the BS radio and the General Radio Telephone. Maybe a little fatter than them, I don't know. But it's got a front microphone plug, off and on, control with volume, squelch control, front powered speaker on the front, no meter, no lights, nothing. You got to look into a vent hole to see the tube flowing to see if it's coming on. That's about it, Dennis. I'll tell you, not much more to tell you about it. Simply, that's some interesting things on the outside. I think you can fill us in on the number on there.
All right, boy, it's got good audio. It's got very strong sounding audio, all of, like a Sonar or a Johnson, something like that. And from the looks of it, you wouldn't think. Almost looks, dare I say, homebrew, or maybe somebody they lost the case off of something and just took the internal parts and sort of screwed the speaker on the front and got the knobs to match. I'm saying if we have any info on it. Nope. The make of this radio is unknown. Anybody watching, listening, have another one of those? Or I guess better yet, anybody know who, is it KDA 7170 or KOA 7170? Who knows that? Who knows that masked call? Tell us anything about this radio. I'm glad it survived wherever it has been, and occasionally makes its way into infamy here on the Old Tube Radio Network and beaconing on the Universal Media Netweb. Let me put down my paperwork. When you take another transmission, I am going to go to the receiver, and we'll see how well the Unknown Radio stays on frequency. Over.
Okay. I try to check it, then I forget what they are when I put it on there. It's too many things going on for my feeble mind. And this radio, I'm not going to meet the guy that sells it, because I tell you what, like I say, you open it up, get inside, and it's really a neat hand-wired job, all 10 tubes, and very neatly ranged in there. So the guy was pretty sharp. He was very sharp, as a matter of fact. Back to you.
Well, it sure sounds good. 84.7, so about 300 cycles low, well within FCC specs. Just nice, clear, strong audio. Now, if you told me I wasn't listening, we're looking at the picture with the supplied stock microphonium. Is that the one you're using, or have you since replaced that with something different?
That's what I came with. It's a 350 Turner ceramic. Change anything on it. That's the way it was wired for it. Everything is the same as I got it from him. Well, whoever he was. Back to you.
It's good. It's like a General Radio telephone where you use the stock microphone and the audio is good. Your fidelity is fine. Everything looks good. I think it might ruin things putting a microphone that actually people would say, oh, that's a D104 with a radio I've never seen before. So it's keep that kind of teardrop shaped microphone. It's good. It's a good thing. Who knows? Anybody know about the No Name Radio? It's been checking in for a while. It occasionally makes an appearance. I'm glad it did tonight here. Maybe it's the last appearance of 2019, but we'll look forward to hearing it in future episodes of the Old Tube Radio Network. Radio number 4 No name, no brand, but it's working. Oh, I guess I should ask you, do you recall where you picked that radio up, where you found that radio?
Well, I wish I did. I can't find, of course, I got it on eBay, of course, but I can't find the receipt on the thing. I'm still looking for it. I may come up with it. I give us a rough idea, but I don't remember. I don't have it written down good, so it's my own fault. Sorry, Dennis, back to you.
All right. Well, we might come up with something, but it is now checked in as radio number 4 here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. The unknown radio. And now you can take the bag off your head now, Paul. Thanks.
Thank you. 25.
25. Your stereo version of the Eagle Ping has definitely put me in ready mode for Radio 5 here. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I don't know if Paul's still on the air or not, but yeah, that no-name radio used to be featured on the old TR website, and it's wonderful to hear that radio. This guy reminds me of Chris's trash can special that I guess finally quit. But anyway, Paul, sounded good on the no-name radio. It's a classic, man. Didn't get any better than that. Anyway, just real quickly, Dennis, 25 checking in on the the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB 2-piece radio, transmitting on the banana mic, which I believe was made by Electro Voice. And boy, that's about it. Back to you.
Sounding good, as an Eagle should. You know, the other classic radio that shows up exclusively on the Old Tube Radio Network is and I think it's Steve's. I think it's 81's. It's the Bullet Hole Special. The radio that looks like it's got the holes in it, called the Bullet Hole Special. I don't think we have a picture of that one, but I do have a picture of a Mark III SSB, not the one that you're on, but a reasonable facsimile thereof. And as always, you are sounding perfect with the Browning. I guess there's not much you have to do. Once you get your receiver and transmitter dialed in, you just key the microphonium and away you go.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we do have the spot button down there, but you know, I just kind of rely on the crystal control transmit, and then I just dial in the receive on the VFO on the receive portion of the radio. Yeah, the on-the-air lights on. Like I said, non-powered banana mic, I should say. And anyway, it looks like everything's working. And I do have the switch for the meter set to SWRs. Otherwise, that poor meter just be beating itself up. So anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, there's a couple of settings, but you're right. You think it's just the little magnets and coils in there just aren't made. They shouldn't have to put up with that kind of abuse. And such a pretty radio. Also, you know, that has a control on the transmitter to change. You can actually move your frequency a little bit. I don't know if that works for AM or if it's just on sideband, but it actually, from what I recall, it adjusts the transmit. But the Browning was smart enough to keep it in I think it was plus or minus 700 cycles, which is what the FCC said. Well, if your crystal tolerance is going to be within our specifications, then it should be 700 cycles. So they were smart enough to put the dial so that you couldn't go more than 700 cycles off, assuming you were on frequency to begin with. But I'm not sure. Do you know if that works on AM as well as sideband for moving the transmit?
That I do not know. However, that dial is just above the spot button, gives you, it says VFO minus plus 100, 300, 500, 700 cycles. So, you know, I don't know. So if you want to do a test real quick, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I don't know if that's VFO or if that'll affect the crystal. So where am I on frequency right now, Dennis?
All right, you know me. I don't get a chance to turn enough knobs and dials, so I would love to do a test. Now, the Browning aficionados who are watching this video are raising their hands saying, I know the answer. So I wish we could actually, you know, have a way to bring those people in, and then you wouldn't have to get out of your chair, nor would I have to reach over and do stuff, but that's okay. That's what we do here on the L2 Radio Network. So what I will do is on your next transmission, I will log where you're at. Give me a moment, and then I will jump into the sideband mode so that if indeed you are moving your carrier, we'll be able to hear it. So what I'll do first is say a few, as they say a few words. I will zero beat your frequency, and then, assuming it works or you know how to control the knob, go ahead and without breaking anything, crank it back and forth, and I will leave the VFO alone, and if indeed it's moving the transmit frequency, we should hear the zero beat move off. So back to you.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the frequency that is on right
8464.
now. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go negative, say negative to 100, negative 500, negative. If that made a difference or not, probably not, but that's just my assumption. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
All right, let me get back on frequency and on AM. Yes, it was great. It was a perfect, we could hear you, we could see you moving. We could hear you moving. It, without, because I didn't want to move the dial and ruin the, what we were doing, but I think when you went on the low side, it probably goes lower than it goes higher. I don't know if that's, Harvey might know, if that's something that's adjustable or that was typical, like if your crystal is off and you're going to go more than 700 and less than 700 because that's how they work the split. But it does move, so you can adjust your AM transmitter frequency. I thought maybe they had it disconnected. I don't know. I guess that would be stupid on AM and not on sideband, but really a plus to have for sideband, especially if you're having more than two people talking. You might be able to get a little bit closer on frequency, but it does move the transmitter, and it looks like one way it moves it more, because I couldn't, you went out of my range. I couldn't really understand what you were saying. So it is work. Thanks for doing that. There'll be a little something extra in your paycheck next week.
All right, and as long as I'm back on frequency, and by the way, can you, while I'm talking real quick, tell me the frequency? I'm on, hopefully I'm on close to 27085, over.
Yes, according to my uncalibrated item, you are close. You're probably a little bit on the low side, over.
Oh, okay, well, let's just... See if that's a little better. Anyway, back to you, Devin.
Interesting. You went the wrong way. You went down to 83, so you actually do have more than 700 cycles. So you need to go the other direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my dial to what should be right on frequency, and then I'll hit the sideband, and we'll see if you roll into it. Go ahead.
What do you think it might be? So, I moved to the minus. Did that raise the frequency?
Whatever you are doing, you are lowering your frequency, over.
That's
doesn't seem to matter which way I go, it lowers the frequency, so I'll go right dead center.
And I think that gets you the highest frequency on the dead center. Interesting. All right, well, maybe that's an adjustment. It certainly doesn't make any difference for my wide receive on AM, and so where you originally had it, and that's where we returned it to, is the closest to being on 27085 that it seems to get. But I think it proved our point that other people said, yes. Didn't you know that? That it does move the frequency on AM as well as, I'm assuming, sideband as well when you go to the sideband mode. I thought maybe they would have something chiseled out of that. Radio number 5, we've been goofing around with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, which is something we do here, testing and talking and whatever. So, all right, thanks for humoring the net control tonight.
No, Dennis. Thank you for over 35 years of doing OTR, and boy, it's greatly appreciated. Anyway, thanks for checking the radio, and back to you, Dennis.
All right, just put a little post-it on the Browning, so when someone says if they want to move frequency, you can say, yes, I have the choice of going lower, or I can go lower. Which would you like to do? OTR standing by for radio number 6. And the Jingle Singers have made their way from the punch bowl over to the ribbon microphone. So let's say hello to them.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Standing by for Radio 6. The channel's a bit noisy tonight. I was thinking maybe that's the sound of the E-skip of the band opening. I don't know. Anybody hearing the 10-meter beacons? The one that's closest to where we are here in the Central Valley is up at 28. I think, Dennis. But the 28,300, 28,299. It's K6FRC, I think. But if you hear something right at the edge of the beacon band there, 28,300, and I think it's called FRC, that means you are hearing close to the Central Valley. You might hear us on Channel 11, listening for Radio 6. Maybe what we need is an old tube radio beacon. I'm not sure. I know they modify a lot of the old Radio Shack HTX, whatever they were, one of those a junker 10-meter, 11-meter export radio usually winds up as the 5-watt beater beacon in their shop going for 24 hours a day. I'm just not sure if you could do that with a tube radio and just keep the thing going at about a watt or 3 or 4 watts all the time for a beacon. I don't know. I bet a Johnson, I bet a Messenger 223 or a Viking Whiteface would probably chatter away for a couple of months, 24 hours without burning up. Hey, I'm glad you're in the radio room tonight, Jerry. I know a lot of people are out doing Christmas holiday things and a lot of parties and all that going on. So appreciate your extra efforts tonight to fill up our OTR Christmas list of radios. You've got Radio 6. Go ahead.
Okay, Dennis. Checking in the Sonar FS30, 20 feet on the stock handheld microphone, and I do have a little comment. I learned something here the last week about these Sonar microphones. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Okay, I'm glad you learned something, because when you learn something, no doubt I will learn something, and I have plenty to learn. The Sonar FS, and I believe you said 3023. I'm seeing if we have a shot of that, and it says we do. So let me bring it up on the sidebar here. Oh, that's the infamous, what it ever called, the baby Yaesu. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis, the only thing I can think that's different between the 3023 and the FS23 is the AML switches in the front versus the back. But believe it or not, these are designed as mobile radios because they operates either 12 volt or AC/DC. So imagine having the room to mount this. My radio actually has the mounting bracket still on it. Mount it in your Riviera or your Oldsmobile 442 or something. That when we used to have a lot of room over the doghouse, but anyway, 23 channel transmit, everything's pretty much there. However, on the Sonar mics, on the Model Gs and Es, the mics were just had an element in it, but when they came out with the 23s and 3023s and the 3040s, when they went to 40 channel, they actually added a little coil and a little something inside the microphone that actually amplified the big old red box Sonar mic. So I've got them all mixed up. I don't know which is which, but anyway, thanks to Harvey, he enlightened me, and I had no idea. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
I don't know. There is one of the Facebook sites that specializes in the sonars. I don't know if that's the one that Crazy Bob runs or not. I should go there and see what they know about 3023 and what happened in those mid to late 60s radios and what would be the what for on that. I'm just looking at the front panel. I notice that it has an RF gain, which is I think it's a great thing to have for a receiver. I don't know why more of the radios didn't have that. And it's also got the big fine-tuning knob plus the S-meter. So this has been a cool radio to have. The sonars, they're going to transmit well, so it's nice to have something that gives you a little bit of nice receive items plus an A&L to pull things out. As a net control, see, that's the thing. You got to have a good receiver if you're a net control. This would probably be a very good net control radio. I'll have to talk to some of the sonar aficionados, and they might have a chronological history of what they did or didn't do, or like you said, it might just be a minimal update, but it's the next year and you've got to put out a new model to sell to somebody.
Yeah, okay, Dennis, but anyway, that was very insightful information about the sonars, microphones, I should say. They all have the quarter-inch jacks, but some of them, if you open at the back, there's a little circuit board in there, or a coil, or whatever, and then the other ones there's not. And actually, if you open up the back of the sonar, big old mic, and find a coil, it's actually amplified. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not even sure which one I'm talking on, but But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Okay, here's a question. On the ones that have the circuit board, is there a battery inside? I would say it would be hard to run some voltage into that mic circuit and do it that way with just a plug-in jack like that. But do you know if it's something you need a battery for?
Negative. No, it would be passive. It wouldn't be an active. It's not an active microphone. It'd be a passive microphone, or non-amplified, well, non-powered, if you will. In other words, non-battery powered. But you'd have to ask Harvey. Next time Harvey's on the air, we gotta pin him down. I mean, pin him down. You get his arms, I got his legs, and go up and ask him. And we'll get the right answer. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Okay, right answers are good. That's the thing. We don't have all the answers here. We don't say that we do, and that's why we like our knowledgeable radio operators and SWLs and those. Now that we're sort of worldwide with the Universal Media Net web streaming things, we have a lot of very knowledgeable and interesting people that chime in and help us out, and we really appreciate that. I wish we could talk to them all, but I'm glad they take time to jump in front of the keyboard and tell us stuff and set us straight. Sonar FS 3023 is the radio we're talking to, radio number 6. Jerry's at the microphone such that it is, and as always, it sounds good and is doing a good job. Sounds like a sonar.
Thanks, Dennis.
And thank you. I'm still watching in the wee Sunday morning hours. Ramon in Delaware. Any new stations coming in? No new comments. Jingle Singers are ready once again. Of course, I have to get their attention, and then I don't know, you do that pointy thing, and then away they go. The Gold 2 Radio Network.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And we're looking for Radio 7. I am dressed more as a normal. The last couple of weeks I was having some fun with the OTR net control wardrobe. This is sort of the standard issue here. I was looking through the ancient OTR closet, and I think the best I could probably do is maybe come up with some type of outfit to make me look like Dick Cavett. One of those horrible turtleneck sweaters. But we'll save that for another time. Looking for Radio 7.
Hey, Dennis, I thought I heard Paul way out there.
Listening, over. You know, we haven't done any FCC news lately. We used originally 00 was issued to the current FCC commissioner, and we would get sort of wacky reports from the supposed FCC commissioner. This is a long time ago, about what was going on in CB radio. This newest thing I'm looking at here from one of the sites. Federal Communications Commission's proposed hefty fines Thursday on 2 separate Boston area. Anybody listening from Boston? Pirate radio operators for allegedly broadcasting without a license. Now, of course, in the day, today, we can hear broadcast. Well, we don't broadcast, but we enjoy our radios without the need of a license or being licensed by the FCC. Of course, it wasn't always like that. But when you get into pirate radio, which you may be encroaching on frequencies where stations are trying to use it as a business, make some money, and it's being controlled by the FCC, they don't look too kindly on that. And the FCC has been cracking down, or trying to crack down more, even in their minimized capacity in field offices, on pirate radio stations. And they're looking for big fines. It's very rare that you see any 11-meter radio stations get fined these days. It has to be pretty malicious and bad for fines to happen. And they want money, so they go after broadcasters and large corporations. I wanted to see what the fine was. Ajit Pai is the chairman of the agency, said in a video statement posted on YouTube, "This should serve as yet another warning that we will not stand by as the law is being broken." So they're into this, don't be a pirate broadcaster. The first fine was levied on Gerlin Caesar, who operates Radio Tele Boston, for apparent unlicensed and unlawful broadcasting. Wow. And the fine was $453,000. Over $453,000. That is massively excessive. Now, I would think a pirate broadcaster would not have that type of money. That's the kind of fine you put to a corporate broadcaster for, not doing an EAS report. Caesar used 3 separate broadcast transmitters, resulting in 3 separate violations of the law, according to the memo. In response, the FCC proposed imposing the statutory maximum forfeiture amount. So basically what they're doing is they finally caught somebody, and they're using them as a test case to say, see, you pirate broadcaster, you should not be doing that. It's the FCC's job to manage America's spectrum. Every radio broadcast above a certain low power level needs an FCC license. But by definition, pirating is unlicensed and unlawful. So the FCC is still out there, and I guess if they want to make you a test case, they will. So behave. You pretty much know they're not going to get $400,000 out of a pirate broadcaster. The Old Tube Radio Network looking for Radio 7. Here's something. Anybody remember React? Anybody a member, was a member, is a member of React? This is a post or a picture from Gary Kaminsky, who's an administrator on one of the CB sites. And this is from, where is it, Miami Beach? Radio Emergency Team in Florida, React. When I started my 11-meter career back in Southern California, we had a really, really dedicated and good React station that was in the same city that I was, but on the opposite side. And the station ran the station ran a Demco Super Satellite. And of course, being Southern California, the San Diego Freeway, lots of freeways. This guy was on all the time, and his family was part of that. So if he wasn't on, his son was on, his wife was on, his daughter was on. It was on Channel 9, of course. We used to run Channel 11. And you could just hear that guy bleeding all over the place with that Demco. KOX 1095 West Coast React. Well, what a job they did. And for 3 years, I don't know. You could hear him all the time, and people would call up and ask for reports, and the guy had traffic reports. He knew everything that was going on, and people would call in. But there you go, the Radio Emergency Citizens Teams React. So hats off to all those of you who were, or if you still do, I don't know if Channel 9 is still designated emergency channel, but good old React. But a lot of the radios that checking in on the old Tube Radio Network were down on Channel 9. Either if they weren't reacting, they were talking to React.
It reminds me of, Dennis, copy this radio?
I copy over.
Reminds me of the old XERB, Baja California, Wolfman Jack. I used to listen to, I had my old little transmitter, anyway, the little radio used to tune them in, like 1400 somewhere, and listen to the oldies, but he was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it was the Mighty 1090. And I'm not sure. They had to be south of the border. I don't know if it was Tijuana. And there was XERB, and there was XTRA, XTARA, but that was 790. But there was 1090 was the one I remember Wolfman Jack on, because 1070 was KNX, which was the transmitter. The 50,000 watt transmitter was about 3 miles from the house, from where I was. And when we built crystal radios out of the germanium diodes, you would get KNX. All you needed was the diode and one of those real high ohmage, I guess it's low ohmage. Anyway, the headphone, little 79-cent headphones, and you touched anything and you would hear KNX. And when we used to goof around with radio chassis, if you did something wrong, all of a sudden you would hear KNX. You would hear KNX on everything. And that was 1070, but they were only 50,000 watts. So naturally, you tuned down to 1090, and here was the station south of the border running, what was it, 500,000 watts. It was blowing the 50,000 watt 3 mile away station out of the water.
Anyway, I used to love his phone calls. You know, he wouldn't get phone calls. He would call people, and all of a sudden just go, bye. Anyway, that was back in the day. I did have a question for you, though. ARRL, does ARRL have any... I know the FCC kind of let the ARRL kind of just take care of radio. Do they have any jurisdictions on 11 meters?
No, the ARRL, the Amateur Radio Relay League, and actually I think they changed the name. It's something else, right? Because nobody knows what relay is. But they're sort of like the Good Taste Committee, like Good Housekeeping, or the National Association of Broadcasters for commercial stuff. They're not the FCC. They don't make the rules, but they suggest. You know, a gentleman would do this. So the ARRL might make like a band plan for your amateur radio stuff, but I mean, saying that in these frequencies you can do this certain mode here and there, like and things of that nature. I'm assuming the ARRL does that. Now, if you go back before 1958, when the 11-meter band was not Class D, then they might have something to say about, well, you know, you want to be in the band edges and you don't want to do all the bad things, or you get an OO card. But these days, the ARRL, I'm sure, stays as far away from what is 11 meters as possible.
Roger. Okay, well, I do have a radio check-in, but I'll stand by in case anybody else has a radio.
All right, let me make one call for a radio. If there's another station that would like to be in the coveted radio number 7 spot. Oh, and there was a double transmission. The old Tube Radio Network is listening. Stations, try it again.
49.
45.
All right. Are you okay with that, Jerry?
Oh, no, I'm fine. I heard 45, but 45 ball up there, but I didn't hear the other one.
Okay, for those keeping score, keeping notes, Brian will be radio 7 coming up next, so he's stepping up into the air chair. Paul will be radio number 8. And Jerry, the one you've got warming up there will be the infamous radio number 9 here on the old Tube Radio Network. That might take us close to 10 o'clock. We will see. Good to hear Brian in the radio room. He's old. He's got interesting radios that we don't get to hear that often. So 49, step up into the air chair. Radio 7 logging you in at 9. Oh, yeah, that's right, at 9. I'm looking at the Radio Shack big giant digit clock where it says it's 5:46 UTC, but that would actually be 9:46 our time. Hello, Brian.
Well, thank you very much for the spot there, Jerry. Of course, 49er here, quickly bringing by the Browning pair, the R27 receiver and S23 transmitter.
The original Eagle R27 S23. I have an ad. What I do have is an actual radio set that includes, and I think it's the 180. It's the amplifier, but you may or may not have that. But I will just add that so people can see that this is not like the Mark III. The transmitter is smaller. It is the first one that had some type of an Eagle-esque logo on it. And I remember this. I think you've had this one a while. I could be wrong, but I remember how smooth the audio sounds on this Browning without, making the Browning laboratories mad, saying, no, it's supposed to sound like a Browning. It sounds like a Browning, but it's nice and smooth. Go ahead.
Yeah, now we have clipped the Eagle Call, which is a sin in a lot of guys' books. But again, if you're using this radio for your regular rag shoe radio, that ping can get kind of annoying after a while. So we have very well limited that out of there. Yes, it does have the Eagle over here to the right of the transmitter by the on-air light. And of course you have your meter that is switchable from modulation percentage to forward to reverse SWR indicator. So yeah, this pair is like mint. Looks brand new. Looks like it just darn near came out of the box. Picked this up from Yogi Bear close to 10 years ago. So happy as heck to have them, and man, they look just dynamite sitting up here on the shelf. So trying to warm these old radios up tonight and get them on the air. So thank you very much, Dennis. Happy to check this set in.
Thanks for bringing it by our Fritz switch. Our Radio 7, the R27 S23, just a smooth. This is just the smooth sounding Browning, and it's got that nice crisp audio where you think, okay, it's coming in a lot stronger than it looks on the S meters from the audio's being very nice. But I like what you've done, and you're not overdoing it, which is, I think when it comes to AM, not overdoing it is a good thing. All right, we'll keep things moving here, but I want you to take one more transmission before you go on the Browning R27, which is the receive unit, the S23, the sender unit, and these were produced by Browning from 1964 to 1966. There was a Series 1 and a Series 2. Let's see, the Series 2 are larger meters, neon modulation indicator, and the lighted on-the-air indicator. And I think there was something to do with the RF control. But anyway, go ahead with one more transmission.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear the audio sounds fairly decent on it. Again, using a non-amplified D104 on this. This D104 stand has been powder-coated to match the colors of the radio, the dark brown and the lighter brown. So, again, the set just looks beautiful sitting up here with the matching microphone.
If it looks good sitting there and it sounds good, what do they say? If it looks good and it sounds good, it is good. It is good. Radio 7, the Browning R27 S23. Good to hear you on, Brian. It's good to hear you on. I mean, we would have had to wait for a big-time Skip from Wisconsin, right? So we don't have to do that now to get these radio to check in. Thanks for bringing it by. Let me move over to, who is next? SWL45. That is Paul. And I'll just remind, I say this all the time, you do not have to have a number, you do not have to have it checked in before to jump in and take a transmission, or whether it's on an old radio or not, here in the old Tube Radio Network. So we invite anybody, if you find that old tube radio, Uncle Fred's old tube radio in the shop, to hook it up. This is not a membership thing or a club. It never has been. And we really just want people to get on the air, have a good time, just like they did when these radios were brand new. And, oh, Ramon, don't go away. You mentioned about Mel Blanc. I have a story, if I can get it in here before we sign out tonight. I actually have a true story about that, confirming that. And I back in the day, I didn't know, but that's absolutely correct about Mel and his son and CB radios. Okay, who is next? Paul. Hello, 45 over.
Okay. I probably jumped in there in the middle when I shouldn't have. Anyway, I think I got my Golden Eagle Mark IV going again. Just when I'm checking in. Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV.
All right, if that's the Mark IV, you have it working perfectly, over.
Yeah, the transmit was great, but the receive, it just all of a sudden you fade out to nothing. And that was it. And found a couple things to turn back in there, and I think we're kind of back online, we hope. Anyway, this is great radio, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you much about it. You know about it much about it as I do. But it has a transmitter and receiver section, and the whole radio is 31 inches long. It's a long radio. And I'm using a Turner CS-1 custom special amplified microphone on the thing. It's not the Browning mic that came with it. I'd love to have that thing, but I never got one for this particular radio, so it's going to have to do the job. It looks like it is on the meter, so that's the main thing. There's more to talk about it, but I want to hear what you got to say. Back to you, Dennis.
Well, I'm glad you've got it functioning, transmitter, receiver, tied together. This is the newer brother, the older brother, the big brother from 1964, 65 that Brian just keyed down on to their very last effort, Browning's last effort. Apparently there was a 23-channel version of this. I think you have the 40-channel version. 1977 is when this came out, and rumors had it may or may not have been actually assembled by Browning Laboratories. Some of them may or may not have been. Certainly a step aside from the Mark II and the Mark III series. Totally different. I mean, they still kept the transmitter, receiver, and the large format, boxes there, but they definitely dialed in a different face look. They kept the big meters, so they did good. And it's when I go to the sites that talk about Brownings, if anybody's a Mark IV fan, they are a Mark IV fan. They like the Mark IV better than the 3 and the 2. And that's what they run. $895. This was $900. This was the price in 1977. This is probably the price of a used car. That 1969 four-door Ford Falcon you could get for $750, or you could add another $150 and get the radio, over.
Definitely. I used to love to hear the Brownings back in the 70s and all that, and never had the money to get one. Now I got the money to get one, so I'm enjoying it tremendously. These are really a great radio. This thing is a hybrid, so that's the one thing that I don't like about it, but it's still a fantastic radio. My Mark III, I think, will outlast this thing over and over again. But anyway, that's about it, and it's a very impressive radio. Back to you.
Again, we'll go with if it looks good, which it does, and if it sounds good, which it does, then it is good. The Browning Mark IV, made in 77. I'm not sure how long they made these, how many they produced and when they stopped producing. I would think maybe a year, to 78. They started doing other things. Sounds good. The audio is really good. I had the S-meter up if you watch the video later on, archives. Everybody's sounding good tonight. I redid a few things on the receiver end of things, and I think it's actually helping without raising my antenna, which is the thing that I should actually do. Radio number 8. Thanks, Paul, for bringing it by.
Yeah, thanks to you. I was going to mention one more thing. I kind of like that single ping on the thing. I like to start long pings once in a while, but I like the single one just like this, so I guess it's my favorite. Thanks again, Dennis.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's so easy on the ears that you don't really notice it. When it comes in and they scream or they go long and then they fade out, you usually have to make a comment on it. So it's got a nice release. The tone is pretty constant. It's like it's tuned up, like you hit middle C on the piano and tune the thing up, and it's part of your transmission, part of the conversation. It doesn't scream at the beginning and take over. So I agree with you. And then we had just before you the let's take the ping out altogether. So there's a way to tailor. Who was it? When I talked to Mike, when I talked to 47, I always say, if you're a musician, you should really like the Eagle because it's the one radio that you can use like an instrument. You can tailor the sound. You can make the ping longer, shorter, sustain, higher pitch, lower pitch. So if you're a musician, you probably really enjoy figuring out what to do the ping to make it your signature note, or not at all. Thanks for bringing it by. Now, let's continue at 9:56. I do have a story about Mel Blanc and the radio, but let's get radio number 9, and we might get into double digits because I have a feeling we've got some sandbaggers out in the bullpen, and we, as usual, go as long as possible. Did everybody checked in, but Jerry is reluctantly coming up into the air chair because they are having so much fun over in the green room tonight. That I think that's why we were shy on the radios. Everybody's having fun at the punch bowl. Hello, 25.
Oh, Dennis, and yes, the jingle, the wine is fantastic. The hors d'oeuvres were wonderful. Anyway, Dennis, I gotta make a comment on Paul's radio of the Mark IV. It's like the buddies. It's like all of these old tubers, man. The longer they transmit, the louder they get, and the better they sound. So I'm not sure. So if that makes any sense. But anyway, so I'm making a long transmission on the Citizens Littlephone CB3A. Made by Holocrafters. So I know you're very familiar with Holocrafters on a non-powered D104. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Nice, smooth audio. I have one here that needs a little work. The CB3A, I put it on the audio board, and I was just amazed at what was happening. The receiver isn't where it should be, but it could be a player on the Old Tube Radio Network, and that is the one that is out of SWL37's Chris's collection. So maybe if and when I ever get things straightened out around here on the radio table, we'll be able to have a Holocrafters. We will make Holocrafters the most heard radio manufacturer, and I know there are enough of them out there to do that. CB3A, Holocrafters, of course, Bill Halligan and the gang, was it Chicago, Illinois, when they were doing these in the late 50s and all throughout the 60s until they sold out to Northrop Corporation with this. This is a true Holocrafters. It's got the little lowercase red H logo I love. Go ahead.
Dennis, it also has the extra VFO on the left-hand side of the ABC switch, and then also has the meter on the right-hand side. And the meter's bouncing up and down as I talk, not banging like the Browning would be, but it's telling me that the radio is working. So anyway, yeah, the Holocrafters CB3A Citizens Littlephone on a non-powered D104. Back to you, Dennis.
Perfect. Again, we're talking about AM audio and how it can be overdone. Nice and smooth with that, the D104. Those radios had a penchant for flat topping. If you shouted into the carbon microphone that came with them or put too much amplification on them, they just did not like that at all. You have it dialed in perfectly, and you have both options on either side of the channel selector. They sold that radio like they sold the car. So you could buy the base radio at X price. I don't have a price on these, but I think it was in the $150 range. $159.95 in 1963. And then you could add the S meter, And then you could add the VFO and work it that way. So you get the base radio and, add the white wall heater radio, that thing that you do with the 1963 Ford Falcon when you bought it off the lot. There is a schematic on oldtuberadio.com. That's only 7 tubes. 7 tubes does all that. With a 12AQ5 and a 12BE6 in there somewhere. And the output modulator 12AQ5. It sounds good. Give us another transmission. I'm glad we got a Helicrafters on the list tonight. You know the way to make a net controller happy.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dennis, I know you have lurking in the darkness an FM 1000. And you used to actually demonstrate it once in a while, but don't go through the trouble tonight. Anyway, thanks for what you do, and thanks for checking it in. And back to you.
And now that I have the close-up camera, I will have to stage the FM 1000, which is over yonder there on the workbench, and bring it up and show people. Yes, indeed, I actually do have that. And I think, was it a couple weeks back or a month back, I showed the invoice from the employees, Helicrafters employees. It didn't have the FM 1000 on, but that's how I got it, with an employee discount when they were part of Northrop Corporation. Let me take a moment here. It is 10 o'clock. It is at top of the hour. Jingle singers will be standing by, but Ramon, who's watching in at oldtuberadio whatever it is, the YouTube thing, mentioned that he was watching a documentary about Mel Blanc and how he used to talk on the CB radio with this different cartoon voice characters. All right, so we will use that as the base. Now we will go back to the young and albeit more handsome Dennis back in the day when I was, working on my high school homework and in front of my realistic Navajo TRC 23B with my realistic antenna on the roof at the house in Manhattan Beach. Now, Manhattan Beach is along the coast of Southern California by the LA airport. And I do not remember what channel I was on. I might have a logbook for this, but I can't find my license. I can't find my logbook because I used to keep a logbook. But anyway, it's probably channel 10 or 11 because that's where I hung out. And this voice came on the radio, and it was doing the classic Mel Blanc, I'm going to say Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck voices. And I was hearing, so I said something, and the voice came back to me. And he said it was Mel Blanc. And he was doing the voices. Now, Mel Blanc, where I was in Manhattan Beach, you could look up towards Los Angeles and around the coast of Malibu and Santa Monica and Bel Air, and which is all the ritzy areas where a lot of the TV people lived. And he said he was up in Bel Air, I think. And I honestly thought it was just somebody goofing around, doing the voice of it. Said it was Mel Blanc. It sounded like Mel Blanc. I mean, it sounded like the Daffy Duck, and it sounded like the voices. And so we talked a little bit, and that was it. I never thought anything about it until I heard someone mention, like Ramon did, that indeed, I think his son, Noel, had a CB radio. I think it was his son's radio up in Pacific. I think it was Pacific Palisades. Anyway, it was up on the hills looking down towards the ocean. And indeed, they said he would bring it there, and he would have his dad get on and do voices, do the classic Mel Blanc voices. So I'm thinking, like, I really did talk to Mel Blanc. That was him doing that. And all that time I thought, this guy, come on. Anybody can do those voices, but not really. So anyway, thanks, Ramon, for reminding me about that. And I will probably search for the video. Mel Blanc he's got did the voices. He was in a really bad car crash, and so there's probably some good documentaries on him they might talk about that. But I think it was his son that actually did that, or had the radio, but it was indeed Mel Blanc, and this would have been 71, 72, 1970, 71, 72. So I wonder if that's when they mention it in in the documentary. All right, I'm talking too much. Are there any other stations that would like to check in before we head out of here on the Old Tube Radio Network?
Me.
You know, Harvey, you often do what you have just done, and that is put us into double digits on the radios when you check in.
Okay, double D's. Oh, double digits, okay. The Browning Golden Beagle R68T68 by Browning Laboratories with the custom D104 with the medallion on the back of the head of the D104. Anyway, one of my favorite radios.
Because, as we've been saying all evening, if it looks good and it sounds good, it is good. I'm assuming you may or may not be range boosted, but you don't need it. It sounds perfect. It's doing what it should do. Over.
No range boost. The range booster is in a box sitting out in the garage, and from there it's going to the junkyard probably. It's got a whole bunch of good parts in there. I mean, the transformer and the rectifier are the only things that really went, but when they did go, they went. And the transformer decided to spray all kinds of fun stuff all over the inside. So all the other good parts have a nice transformer internal coating.
Oh, okay. I think you said it was transistorized. My issue was, I think, and I haven't checked it, is one of the big, like 450 volt high capacitors in the 300 popped last week. And so this little addition that showed up with the Big Bertha rack of Astron power supplies that I got at the FARC thing that Pat gave me, that it's like, this thing can work. And it's like, it's got a receive preamp on, which I'm using tonight, and I can actually attenuate the incoming and then put the preamp back in. I thought that's a stupid way to do it, but it's actually helping the receive out because I can use the RF gain. That was my problem before when I took off the preamp. Everybody was low, and I had to not attenuate anything. But this kind of like back and forth is actually working. So don't throw anything away yet. I'll talk to you about what's going on around here and see if we can't get back in the range boost mode. But you don't need it. It sounds good. It's really nice and clear. I think part of it is because I've worked on my receive a little bit. But as always, it is not skipping a beat, and it's sounding great for Radio 10.
Thank you. Well, if I absolutely had to, what's in line with this thing was the third piece, or fourth piece, depending if you include the mic, that came with it, the matching 180. And it just sits in line. I've used it maybe 3 or 4 times. And if I absolutely had to, I guess I could fire it up. But I like the solid state one. I know I said the word solid state, simply because I could just turn it on. It was there. I didn't have to load and tune or anything, But I only used it when I kind of needed to, noise level wise. But anyway, here's this puppy. You had some questions earlier in the evening. I'm trying to remember what they were, because I was listening and I think I know the answers, but can't remember the question.
We were talking about, I should take notes. One of them, I'm looking at the radios. General radio telephone stream for MC9, MC5, unknown radio. Sonar. Something was about the sonar, if there was a difference between the 30-23, or if we were discussing some things about sonars, about the especially those models in the mid 60s. some differences, but I can't remember the questions. And there was probably some other item of interest out there.
Oh yeah, the sonar. And I'm trying to remember the question. I'm working on a Model G right now. Bad relay. Now, the sonars had double relays, the earlier Model 1. The E, the G, and the H. I think the H had 2 relays in it. The G has 2 identical relays. No, wait. Yeah. The G has 2 identical relays, and the E has one of those same relays and then a slightly different one. So when you keyed up, both relays had to do something. So it was interesting that they did that, but they did that. Anyway, I'm replacing a relay in one radio. So anyway, I can't remember the specific question, but is Jerry listening still?
Yes, I am, and I believe, Harvey, it was about the microphones, those big old sonar microphones, the difference between the G ones that came with the Gs and the FS23s, etc.
Okay, you have the good amplified mic with that you sent along with the 2 sonars. I checked it out, and it's got the circuit. Now, I have to check the cap in there. I didn't do that yet. Excuse me. I did open it up and look. It's got the 2 resistors and the electrolytic cap. But like a dummy, while it was open, I didn't bother to check to see how good that electrolytic is. Because that definitely helps in the amplification. So I have to check that. You have the good cartridge, the good big cartridge in there. That and the circuitry for that is listed in the schematic for the FS23 or 3023, one of the 2, but not the E, G, and H. But the voltage used to amplify the mic circuit is the same because they, I believe, use the same relays. Well, I just said that. The E and the G use the same relays, and I know it works because Dennis told me my 3023 sounded like the Baby Buddy, and that's because it had that amplified hand mic in it, hooked up to it. So anyway, even though they only provided in the circuit, in the schematic for the either the 23 or the 3023, it works in the other 3 radios. Anyway, that was what I wanted to mention, that you do have the good mic.
Dennis, that answered your question. Where is the voltage coming from to amplify or into the microphone? Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
The voltage to the relay comes from one specific winding on the transformer, and it's set for just that. It's a volt, and it goes just for the relay. I don't believe it's used anywhere else in the radio.
Well, it's interesting. They should they would do it like that, but okay, good to know. And because you then does that mean you must be careful if you have various sonar radios and you have the same plug? You have to be careful what you plug into your sonar.
Roger, kind of like the Browning 2-pin. one side's got a lot of voltage on it.
Oh, yeah. I found out about the Browning 2-pin because I like to use the J38 key as the king circuit on all of my, when I would wire in the radios. And, of course, on that king circuit, and the J38 key is this big metal things sitting there. And so if you casually put your finger on one side and the other side, you get what, I don't know what it is. It's big. What is it, 80 volts or something?
Yeah, I think it's a little more than that. It's up there around almost 100. Yeah, I'm looking at the circuit for the Model G, not the E, but I just happen to, well, yeah, because I'm working on the G. Yeah, that is the main circuit. I was wrong. That's the main circuit, and they're using 95 volts for the relay, 95 volts AC. Before it is rectified into the higher 260 volts DC. So they're using that for the relay, and that's really the only thing off that 95 volts. So that's where they're pulling that.
Comment?
And I'll have to remember. I can't remember the Regency, because I need to do some Regency stuff. The Regency has that high voltage stuff going on it too. And the comment, go ahead here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
So I was watching a program on the National Geographic Channel about the Apollo 11 missions, actually several of the Apollo missions. And listening to OTR this evening is actually way more intricate and detailed than anything in that program. I think this needs to be up. The show needs to be up for some sort of an award or something.
Well, thank you. Now, in watching the NASA program, did you hear? I don't know if they had audio from Apollo 9 and Houston, we have a problem, and all that. Did you hear any Roger beeps?
You know what? Yeah. And every time I hear that Roger beep on any of these shows about the Apollo programs, it always makes me think, oh boy, I can't remember which radios, you love meter radios, have those Roger beeps in there, or microphones at least. And boy, I wish I had one of those.
Well, I was about to say, you will not, that's the difference between the shows tonight. You will not hear a Roger beep typically on the Old Tube Radio Network, because that wasn't something that was, what do they call it? That's sort of an unnatural act. And I'm sure it probably wasn't called a Roger beep. There was probably some, official name like N courtesy tone, so you knew something was going on, or they needed to have that tone to trigger something else. And it's not quite that way. So that may be one difference. Typically on the Old Tube Radio Network, even though it's 11 meters, you will not hear a Roger beep. And that's true to what we do at the Old Tube Radio Network, where we're trying to recreate when it was 1965 and the sonar was brand new, and it's 1962, and the Hallicrafters was brand new, and it's 1977, and the Mark IV was brand new, although in 1977. All bets are off as to what was going on with 4 million CBers at the time. Speaking of CBers at the time, I have a feeling that if I was an astute net controller, I would be grabbing the net control pen and possibly getting ready to write in a Radio 11 over.
Well, that's kind of ironic since the last thing on that particular show was Apollo 11, but I've butted in and disrupted the two folks, and actually the third gentleman as well, that deserve the awards, the OTR and of course SWL 20. So I think you need to finish with them first, and then we do have an Eagle that may have not landed on the moon, but landed at least in the radio lounge.
And I'll be on the side also.
Okay, and at the time that radio that you have came out, I'm trying to think what was going on. Wally Schirra, John Glenn, Gus Grissom, they were probably all out there ready to shoot off into outer space. Okay, we will put you on hold. Also, Chris, don't go away. We'll pick you up as well. And let me go back to Harvey and or Jerry for any other comments or criticisms. I just looked. Hold on a second. Did anybody notice that? Dangling behind. This is for the people watching the video. I just looked at that. That's just what in the hell is that? There's a right here, an RCA jack just dangling. Oh, you know what it is? That's part of. That's part of the Jingle Singers. That's the other part that didn't get used. So let me put it back there. I wonder if that was bothering anybody. What is that thing hanging down there? This is the Orban, the Optimod, so it's hanging down in front of that. All right, I'm sorry. I'm also a video guy at some point, and that is just really unexcusable. All right, now Harvey and Jerry, go ahead if you have an item of interest.
No, Harvey, thanks for your help, and no, I'm done. I do have some things dangling here, so we might have had a minor earthquake here, Dennis. I'm not sure, or somewhere close. Anyway, thanks for checking all the radios in, and boy, when Chris keyed up, it about blew me out of my saddle. Anyway, to you, Dennis.
Hang on to the horn.
Okay, and he might have our ending radio tonight, and it would be a fitting closure for the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. But first, let's go over to. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I might have to defer. The gentleman, I'm trying to use my best. I've been listening to all the things going on, lately. Will the gentleman in Northwest Fresno with the two-piece radio yield to the gentleman in Northwest Fresno with the one-piece radio for the next radio check-in?
Let me see. My time is almost up, so I'll finish with the schematic area of the microphone with that circuit for the sonar is in Sam's book 95, the sonar 3023. I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Some of them have times. Okay, now will the other gentleman that has the two-piece Browning radio yield his time to the gentleman with the one-piece radio?
I'm confused. I hope you're referring to me.
Yes, I was. I noted that you had been scheduled to be the next radio check-in.
Oh boy, you caused me to be thinking about what's been going on in the national news. But I don't want to go there. I'd rather talk on something that, well, hopefully it's never been offensive to anyone. My Browning R27 F23. I don't know how to bring this back from a potential political conversation.
Okay, but you would get your time back, but we're asking if you will yield your time at this point to the gentleman with the one-piece radio.
Oh yeah, whoever it is with the one-piece radio, you got my time, please.
Okay, Chris, because I know you don't want to stay up late, and I also know that you like to check in a fashion that makes sense. Go ahead, you're Radio 1137.
Okay, here we go. I thank you guys very much. But this is SWL 37. We're going to check in our general radio telephone, the Super MC11A, 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark, and this is the original handheld, non-amplified microphone that I'm talking on. Over.
Another example of if it sounds good and if it looks good, it is good. Another example of good old, as Tim Tron would say, YAM radio done right, not overdone. Not let's try and make it as loud as possible, but let's if the manufacturer was good enough to make it correctly, let's operate it correctly. The Super MC11A sounding marvelous in its stock, unaltered mode of operation. Back to you.
Well, thank you. I wasn't expecting all that. I was just at least get in here and check this in before I threw my head on the pillow. I fell asleep on the chair once already, but the other one's waiting.
Well, that's good. Well, I wanted to try and get the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A as Radio 11, which indeed it is. And it's sounding great, and I thank you once again for jumping into the radio room tonight.
Okay, and Roger Beep.
With the pseudo Roger Beep. Now all we need is someone to do some really correct and good voices of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and where is Mel? Oh, you know, I don't have it hooked up. I could do that. I actually have the Mel, and you remember, Chris, the Mel Blanc blankety blanks that we used on OTR probably 25, 30 years ago. And if it's not Mel Blanc's voice, it is his son's voice. It's a promotional item for that. So, gosh, I'll have to look for that. I don't even have the cassette player. I used to have a cassette player in line. It's up in the rack, but it's not into the audio board. All right, Ramon, stay tuned to future episodes of the Old Tube Radio Network. We will have Mel Blanc or Noel Blanc on the air doing some stuff. I guarantee that, but it may take me a while to, one, find the tape. I know it's here somewhere, but I don't know where it is. And two, get all the stuff into the board that I need. So, okay. Where are we going? Chris, thank you for checking in. You are Radio 11.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now, the gentleman from Northwest Fresno with the two-piece radio, we'd like to bring you in as Radio 12.
How can I tell possible?
Well, you key the microphone in, and let's see. I think I have a picture of that.
Okay. For your listening pleasure, the Browning at R27S23. The operator may not be doing as good a job as everyone else for at least the past hour and a half. But at least it's fun radio to use. Not the warmest one. I think the last one I checked in last week was, oh gosh, I can't remember how hot the top of that radio is. 100-something degrees. This one is not as warm, but it's still fun to use nonetheless with the unamplified Browning banana style mic, which attention to recently, but kind of how the lights turn on here in the radio lounge. And in addition to it being kind of fun to, I guess, to hold and use, the thing looks pretty good. Someone put some thought into it. The switch on it and just the design, the shape. Someone earned their pay on this guy.
Yes, indeed. I was able to zoom into the part of the advertisement that we're looking from 1964, and it shows the reason this became the Eagle, the first of the Eagle series, and it has not the Flying Eagle applique on the speaker, but it's printed or silk screened or something onto the smaller unit. So that's the transmitter and a silhouette of an eagle head. I'm sure there's a story about who came up with that. One of the Browning Eagle employees. Maybe they had a contest. You know, maybe they had a company contest and the winner got a free dinner or something. I don't know, but there it is. There, if you're watching the video at some point in the next couple years, the video is up. There is the picture of the eagle that makes that the Browning Eagle. Go ahead.
I've always had it in the back of my mind that I was kind of sad that I don't have any Browning radios with an actual, I don't know if it was plastic or a metallic eagle. I think it was on the receiver. Maybe you can comment on that. I've always been sad that I haven't had that, but at least I got the painted one on there. I kind of want to make a comment about these days. There's well, at least in the news the past couple of days, which I try not to listen to incidentally too much. There's been clips of, there was an eagle somewhere, I think in Australia, there was an octopus that got a hold of an eagle, and I think some fishermen came and to rescue the eagle, but I'm not going to go there because that's pop news, and I don't like pop news. I like old school news, like all the good stuff about Browning radios, which I'm on.
Indeed, the R27S23 combination, the original Eagle series from Browning Laboratories Incorporated, Union Avenue, Laconia, New Hampshire, and it does sound good. Let me go back to you for any other items of interest. I notice that it's 10:30. We still have people listening live in the early Sunday morning. I think I actually have to do something very early. But what the heck? We're having a good time, as we always do on the Old Tube Radio Network. So I thank you for jumping into the radio room tonight. And I did not, I looked for but I still have time. So maybe next week, it might be more apropos next week. I still have time for finding the infamous Christmas Tree Lane replay that is in the archives here. So I'll probably do that next week when I'm sure I've got it. I can find that. I mean, I don't even remember what we talked about, what you walked by, but we'll schedule that on OTR. Anyway, back to you for transmission.
Okay. Well, you may not have to do searching for any archival footage of that, but we'll purposely kind of change the subject for now. Thanks for letting me check this in. It's fun. I'm sorry it's the only radio from the collection, but it's what we're lacking here in quantity. I think I'm at least making up in quality for this fun radio. Thanks for letting me check it in, and on that, 73.
All right, and thanks for bringing it by. I haven't even counted them out yet, but I will say I'm standing by if there's any other stations that need to check in, whether it's Radio SWL comments before we sign out, and the jingle singers have mellowed. The punch bowl is almost empty, so that's probably a good reason why they sound like this.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
OTR standing by.
Well, it's already warmed up. Once you had a Robin 123B, please.
You're in good company, and by checking in that radio, if I go back to the archives, you actually keep me from being a liar, because I mentioned when where's the list? I'm messing things up here. I mentioned that when. It was Brian. When Brian checked in Radio 3, and he was on the Robin T123B, I mentioned that I wouldn't be surprised if indeed we got another Robin and maybe even a 123B checking in tonight.
Oh, good. Well, I'm happy to add that. I'm sorry. I know it's getting late. I got to make an oddball comment. There was a Quentin Tarantino movie that was just released, at least on hard copy. I think it had been digitally released about a month ago. But anyways, Blu-ray just came out this past week. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. which is pretty cool. I like it. I don't necessarily like it just because it's a Quentin Tarantino style of film, but it's got a lot of. It's just it's a celebration, I think, of everything. 1960s, especially 1969. And there's so much music and so much audio, so much music that was played through car speakers of that particular vintage, cars from the 1969 era. And for some weird reason, this Robin 123B, it sounds exactly the same as a lot of what you hear in the movie. So go run out and buy a copy of the movie, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
And no doubt when someone was sitting out in front of their classic automobile, it wasn't classic at the time, in front of Norm's restaurant, and with their 102-inch whip, they might have had one of those Robin. And you're on the B. You are on the B model. Over.
Yes, yes, sir. No match guy on this. Just the regular. Maybe we shouldn't go there. Incandescent versus neon lamp. Yeah, it's the 123B is in Bravo. No match guy on this one.
All right, so we got a pair of 123Bs tonight. I remember this radio has taken over in your bevy of Robins, the mellow, in the mellow audio department, and your refurbed 123 has making the magic eye dance has taken over in the loud department. All right, we've got it as your lucky Radio 13 in honor of Friday the 13th, just hours ago. The Robin T123B makes Radio 13 tonight.
Hey, there it is. Just watching the show on Apollo 13, the moon landing, and Radio 13. Hey, there it is. That's a good thing I don't have any black cats over here. That's nice.
Well, you never know. All right, let me say, let's see. I said this before. Are there any other stations that would like to check in before we sign out of the Old Tube Radio Network? And our station's still hanging in there in Minnesota. Our trio in British Columbia, again, snapping their fingers saying drats or rats. Who is it? Charlie Brown just say rats. No E-skip. Maryland, San Francisco is in. I wonder if that's Mitch. Hi, Mitch, if that's you. New York, I don't know how they do it. Those guys stay up late, or is it early? That's what you have to do. If you've got the big AM stations, you just don't, and you've got a transmitter. When you key that transmitter, you've turned it on. You're not a pirate broadcaster. You're on the air for a reason. And those watching the video. All right, I'm going to. I'll be right back, and we'll put an end to this thing. Or as the guys on 75 meters would say, we'll tie the ribbons on it. And then somebody said, I really hate when someone's at the end of the conversation says, we're going to tie the ribbons on it. So I won't say that. And I hope that the transmitter on my end for those listening on 2705 was actually working tonight, because I'm doing something different, and I was really afraid that it was going to be two plus hours of excruciatingly awfulness. So hopefully that isn't the case. The receiver, on the other hand, is sounding good. And then from the other room came this.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, I think I had just enough water to possibly get through this the Old Tube Radio Network with a total of 22 and 17 is 31. 54 SWLs checking in tonight. This is week 4 of the 8-week roster, which will take us into the new year, by the way. 1221, 1228, 14, and 111. 2020, is that possible? I remember when we were all smug and satisfied when it was the last net of 1999, and we all knew, we were all confident that our old tube radios were Y2K compliant. We didn't have to go do anything. We knew that, well, those other nets with all those fancy new radios with computer chips might not be on the air next week, but we would be. And here we are 20 years later. Radios, let's talk about radios. 13, lucky 13 tonight, starting off with the General Radio Telephone MC5, sounding even better than before. I think Jerry said he's going to put the case screws back in, and it will be a player for the next 20 years for sure. Radio number 2, the General Radio Telephone Super MC9, the first in the ECL 800 tube series. Radio number 3, the Robin T123B from Brian. 49 sounded good on that. Radio number 4, the Unknown Radio with the 350 Turner-style microphone. The Unknown Radio makes its appearance here for 2019. Radio number 5, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Radio 6, the Sonar FS3023. And a little bit of Sonar Tech Talk there at the end of the program. Radio 7, Mr. Computer Man on the Browning R27 S23. Radio 8, Paul was on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark IV, sounding really nice. The Helicopter CB3A, Radio 9, brought to us from Jerry. Harvey on the west side on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Radio 11, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. The Browning Eagle R27 S23 was Radio 12, thanks to Mike and also his Robin T123B. The most heard manufacturer, we had 2 Robins. We had 3 General Radio Telephones, and there were 5 Browning Laboratory radios checking in tonight, as well as all the other ones. 1 works as well as 5, so if you've got an old tube radio and you think you might be around next week and you are in the RF zone, pick one. Or pick a dozen and stop by and check in with us here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks to FrodexSearchLawrence.com for the digital side and the Nixie tubes, and thanks to those who are staying up late from far-off lands, watching the live version of this, and thanks for your expertise for those of you who post and do things on the Facebook sites that help us out here, being knowledgeable about these radios. And doggone it, we wish we could have some conditions to hear all of you, but thanks for chiming in when possible. Ramon, thanks for the, I forgot all about that, thanks for the Mel Blanc story. And I will look for the Mel Blanc tape that we have here that used to grace our airwaves a long time ago. And that's it. So good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network saying 73 until next time.
Thank you, Dennis.
Hey, Dennis, do you have a copy on me?
Dennis?
Yes, the station that wanted a copy, don't go away. And Harvey, go ahead.
What radio did I check in?
Oh boy, you know, when net control gets put on the spot. Let's rerun this because it's on video. So I can lie and say I did it correctly, but I won't. So the radio you checked in was Radio 10. Radio 10 at 10:05. Let's do it right. That's why we get paid the big bucks. The Browning Golden Beagle, the Browning Laboratories Golden Beagle Mark III SSB. No, wait a minute. That is totally incorrect. You know what? Because I swapped some stuff here. Okay, this is take 3. This is net control, take 3. And I'm actually going to correct this because it is written wrong. That's why I'm reading it, because it's written wrong. Radio 10 tonight at 10:05 was the was the Browning R68 T68, the Browning Eagle, the Browning Laboratories Golden Beagle. How about that?
Thank you.
Man, you can't get away with nothing here.
Break OTR.
Okay, the breaking station standby. Who was the station that asked if I could hear them? Over, or maybe that was you.
This is Tom out of Sanger. How do you copy?
Hey, Tom out in Sanger. You know, I hear you almost as well as I hear you when you check in on Wednesday. And if I was to go to page 4, which I'm doing now, and look for 113, your name is still there, over.
Okay. Well, I've been having trouble with the 11 meter, so I'm trying to dial it in.
You have it dialed in. Do I have the S meter? Yeah, I have the S meter up. You can actually hear what you're doing on my very low Midtown Fresno antenna. If you go into the video archives of the audio archives, and you will also see your S meter report. So take a transmission.
Okay. Yeah, the other one on the 10 meter net, I've got an echo. I'm trying to figure that one out. So I'm just making sure this one's working okay. Same antenna. I just switched over radios.
It's working well. No echo per se. And 100% copy here on the Old Tube Radio Network. And a check-in as well to bring our total to 55 tonight.
Okay, hey, thanks. I got to get out of here. Thanks again for the net. Talk to you later.
Okay, thanks for jumping in. See, maybe staying on incredibly late and driving people nuts is a good thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Who was the station that broke in that I told to stand by? Thank you for that, and I am listening.
It was 131. Mr. Rude.
Hey, we're up to 56. Phil, like that. We're up to 56 SWLs tonight, and both on page 4, so that's 19. That's almost like the entire page. Because I'm adding 113, and I'm adding 131. Who didn't check in? This is almost the entire page checking in tonight. Good deal. Anyway, John, thanks for jumping in tonight. I know a lot of people are doing family stuff and decorating and shopping, so I figured we'd have some late check-ins, and I'm glad I could take it. Thanks.
Yeah, how's this thing sounding? I'm running something a little different right now.
You know, I was going to make, and I forgot to, I was going to make a comment on your audio. It's not super loud, but it's got a good presence. It's got a good fidelity to it.
Okay, I guess the box is working.
Yeah, it's even got a little bit of forward movement and doesn't sound like it's doing anything naughty.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Because this month, or at least for the next couple of weeks, you want to be under the proper N on Santa's list. You don't want to do anything naughty. So even if you are, we won't say. All right, you're sounding good. We got you checked in. And I think to log in and be official, I have to go to the SWL check-in. So if you're at oldtuberadio.net, you will see the check-in for 113 get logged, and you will see the check-in for 131 get logged. And OTR is saying 73, everybody.
Thanks a bunch, Dennis.
And I'm gonna get 10 lashes from Harvey, that's for sure.
No, you wouldn't do that. Maybe you would.
Well, it was wrong. I mean, I'm glad he called me on it because it would go into the archives as the entirely wrong radio. It's not as though I looked at the wrong line. What do they say in what do they say? The politicians say, I misspoke. That's what it was. I wasn't really wrong. I misspoke. All right, I got to turn off the video because I think we're paying extra. We went overtime. We're probably paying extra for this. Good night, everybody. On the video side, the audio side, oldtuberadio.net, and the channel 11 will be back to its regular frequency.
All right there, Dennis.
No Ovaltine tonight, Dennis.
Yeah, I've got you beat. I'm going to do the homemade thing. I've got the Hershey's Cocoa and some. Here's the recipe. It's actually works pretty good. It's just harder to make because it doesn't have all the chemicals to dissolve the stuff. But it's the Hershey's Cocoa, and you need less of it. And some dark brown sugar and a little maple syrup. And we're talking about a half a teaspoon. You don't need much of anything. Then you need some water, just a little bit, because you got to mix the stuff together. And then you can use half and half to bring the creamy content back up. And if you really want to make it goofy, you can put in a couple of drops of vanilla and a little bit of cinnamon. And it is oh so good.
I think tonight you need to add a little chocolate liqueur.
I like the way you think. I don't know if I have anything. I've probably got a 40-year-old bottle of, oh man, what was the liquor store that was over there on Cedar Avenue? Little General Old Doc's. Everybody remember Liquor Barn? But I think this is before that. It was like Old Doc's Liquor. I think I've probably got something that's in the cabinet from that's 40 years old.
Yeah, it's just ready.
Yeah, I'll be just ready. All right, good night. I'm turning things off.
Turn it off. Old Doc's over here on Bullard and Marks. I used to go there occasionally, and I hate to say this, Old Doc, in his final days, I don't think things were looking really good for him. I know I knew that a couple of the older workers, and they were telling me about the end. It just was not good. But you should go on, look up, let's see, CBS Sunday Morning, probably like Vintage Liquor or something like that. I don't know. There's only, I think, 2 TV shows I like to watch, 60 Minutes and CBS Sunday Morning. CBS Sunday Morning, a few weeks ago, did a special about like people finding old bottles of booze, like during Prohibition, people would stash alcohol in their walls and ceilings and whatnot, and then we find them, like almost 100 years later. Go check that out on YouTube. CBS Sunday Morning, like vintage alcohol or I don't know, something. It's pretty interesting. People are paying top dollar for old stuff. So if you got that, whatever, 40-year-old copy of liqueur, hold on to it. It might be worth something someday.
Good. Now I've got an excuse not to have to drink it. All right. And then, across the street here, these houses are all, early 50s. It's a big kind of a jungle of flora and fauna, and they did some tree trimming for the street collection that comes by. It was a couple months ago, and they were digging out, because they had to really dig down on this kind of berm off the sidewalk. And they were digging out rusted, not aluminum, but the cans, the soda cans before the pull tops. These things had been in there under the dirt, 40 years? It was funny. But fortunately, there wasn't anything in there to drink.
Okay. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I know you said you had something going on early tomorrow. I'm extremely curious about hearing about that, especially if this predated the full tap ops. So go to bed. We'll chat about that later.
All right, and I've got a week to find that Mel Blanc tape. I'm starting to worry that it's somewhere I'm never going to find it. Good night, everybody. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Let's go quickly. Wow, that is noisy. Let's go quickly to 75 meters and see if there's any AM activity here. Nothing. How can that be?
Welcome, your party didn't put the articles down.
All right, 3840, of course. There isn't one AM. Oh. All right, 3870, but I'm not going to be able to hear it. Can't hear the East Coast, guys. Doggone it. Band must be not doing too good. All right, and that's it for the Old Tube Radio Network. Catch you next week.